Hello, everybody. Michael Silber here, Event Director for Enlit Australia, bringing to you another one of our interviews with industry leaders. This one happens to be a preview for a session at Enlit Australia. This session will be conducted by Salesforce and sponsored by Salesforce. We're talking today with Joe Delaney, who is currently the Industry Strategy Director of Energy and Utilities for Salesforce, and he'll be moderating this panel. As I say, it's on the 16th of March at 9 a.m. Great panel, really great people participating on the panel, and I'm going to let Joe talk all about that. So welcome, Joe.
Hi, Michael. Great to see you again. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, always a pleasure. So just to kind of as a general overview, can you give us an overview of what your current activities in Australia are?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll sort of highlight a few sort of key areas. As we know, 2022 promises to be the most disrupted year in the Australian electricity retail market, which of course is already one of the most disrupted in the world. We're going to see a number of hugely ambitious cross-sector new entrants coming in, and so Salesforce is at the forefront of a lot of these changes and helping a number of retailers adopt new business models and really sort of target new revenue opportunities in multiple product offerings. So really exciting space. And sort of beyond that, just to give a context around what we're doing in other parts of the value chain. So, you look at infrastructure, as we know, really the transmission, distribution and spend on those networks and grid connections, they're the critical bottlenecks almost to the Australian energy transition and the energy transition everywhere. And Salesforce is already working with a number of network customers here as well on grid connections, given the sort of complexity and exponential growth in those, both at the transmission and distribution level. And then looking at this issue of sort of resilience in a climate impacted country, it's critical to the energy system here that things like sort of customer communications around fault and outage management and a sort of seamless experience of communication and data across field service operations and contact centers. And indeed, increasing numbers of self-service platforms as well. So there are sort of perhaps a few highlights of the sort of things we're doing in Australia at the moment, Michael. And really what we're doing here is mirroring a significant global investment behind Salesforce's industry strategy, people and product alignment for the year ahead. So yeah, couldn't be more excited to be sponsoring Enlit and hosting this keynote.
We're really excited to have you there. So any case studies that an executive might be able to access prior to the show to get a better sense of what you've done with a specific client?
Absolutely, and yeah, look, there's a few. We can absolutely sort of make these links available, Michael, for Enlit as well. So we could look at Engie and how that sort of big global electricity retailer really uses a single shared view of all the customers' data across 24 different business units around the world. And that gives them the sort of their marketing and sales and service teams an opportunity to collaborate and deliver tailor-made solutions in a way that just wasn't there before. We could also look at the experience with National Grid, the transmission operator in the UK, and the Connect Now portal, which we helped them build, which really provides transparency across the grid connection process. As we know, when you move from a few dozen big centralized thermal generators to many hundreds of smaller decentralized renewable generators, the number of grid connections at a transmission level is increasing exponentially. So, the work we're doing around that portal and enabling future self-service around that to really allow the customer to have that end-to-end visibility. So a couple of really interesting areas, and we'll also share sort of links to work we're doing around data-driven culture with the New Zealand Electricity Authority. And indeed, one area I'd really like to sort of pick out as well is a big global initiative we've got around efficient delivery of capital investment in infrastructure. Again, critical with the network investment that we're talking about. And we'll share details on the partnership with Italgas and helping them with that end-to-end visibility across their CapEx deployment cycle. So hopefully that gives you a little flavour of the sort of things we can share.
Good. We're looking forward to getting those links. So let's write down to what you'll be talking about on the 16th of March with your panel. Can you give us a little more specifics on what you'll be, what topics you might be covering?
Yeah, well, look, this is a critical decade, isn't it, Michael? And really from an industry and customer perspective, we need to look at what needs to happen to make this work. You know, we heard Daniel Westerman talking about a grid supporting 100% renewable penetration by 2025. You know, this is unprecedented levels of change. What needs to happen and why the customer is at the heart of that transition. And when we talk customer, we're talking more broadly as well. So that can be consumers across residential, commercial, industrial, but also communities and how the importance of social license for a successful and equitable transition is so critical. As well as things like the shifting, unprecedented shifting of global capital behind the net zero imperative, and how the industry is really positioned. This is ground zero for net zero in energy. So the role of digitalization, innovation, and entrepreneurship is in all of that is something we'll explore as well with the panel.
So I'm quite impressed with the panel you've put together. Tell us a little bit about some of the who the people are. The participants will be on with you on the 16th of March.
Absolutely, Michael. Yeah, we're hugely excited to have the panelists here. I'll give you a quick heads up. So Ryan Warburton is going to be joining us from AGL, heading up commercial and industrial and responsible for their $3 billion C&I portfolio. Ryan is going to become the EGM for business and commercial at new AGL, and is also an alternate director for Power, which is the financing initiative driving investment in large-scale renewables, including Tilt. And we're just excited that he'll bring that fantastic insight into emerging business models and in C&I and accelerating delivery of renewable energy investment, that sort of thing. And then we've got Megan Fisher from EnergyLab. So Megan is the CEO there, and EnergyLab, for those that don't know, is the largest climate tech startup accelerator and innovation network in Australia, and really dedicated to all things climate tech and net zero emissions. And she brings that context as well of having been in the distribution side of the business at AusNet Services. So she'll bring some great insight around that. And then James Gerraty from Telstra Energy, from the leadership team there, and previously led strategy at PowerShop Australia as well. So James is going to bring really invaluable insight into those breakdowns of traditional sector barriers and the strategy of a major new player, with ambition, of course, in Telstra's case, of becoming a top 5 retailer. So hopefully a really balanced panel, Michael, and we'll bring some really interesting insights and perspectives for the audience.
I'm really looking forward to it. That's just covering a wide spectrum of areas, and particularly interested to hear what Telstra has to say. So with that, I want to thank you. Looking forward to your panel. As I said, 9 a.m. on the 16th of March, Customers at the Heart of the Energy Transition, moderated by yourself, Joe Delaney. So Joe, thanks for your time, and we'll see you in March in Melbourne.
Thank you, Michael. Looking forward to it.